Hi, today I'm going to show you how to set up and fish with electric fishing reels, specifically the WFT Electra reels. We have two models here and both of them are built around a high-performance Japanese motor. So what we have here is the power plug for the power cable. This power cable runs off and plugs into a 12-volt battery by Exide. Now that you've got your electric reel powered up, I'm just going to take you through the basic features of this. This is the 1200 RHP and it's a little different to the other one. First of all, you've got a power cable and a nice tight fitting, screw fitting here that is watertight. Then we have an LCD panel just here and some special buttons that I'll talk you through in a moment. Over this side, we have the tensioning knob. Obviously this controls the free spool and the speed at which the line is going to come off the reel. Then we have a clutch here, which is also your free spool lever, just like that. And then we have this, which controls the speed at which the line comes back onto the reel. By pushing it forward, you accelerate. By bringing it back, you decelerate. Obviously over this side, we've got a handle and we've got a star drag system here. You want to make sure before you deploy any of this that you've got your tensioning knob nice and tight so that when you drop that weight over the edge, you don't overrun. You want to make sure that you set your drag to the right braking strain for the poundage of braid that you have on there. We're fishing with 80-pound braid, so we're going to run it at probably around 40-pound and just see how we go. Whatever you do, don't drop your line over and then set your drag. Once you're pulling up, you might lose some fingers. We've just baited up the hooks. On our top hook, we're running a piece of fish fillet, so to speak, a squid head, and then a whole slimy mackerel and another piece of fish. Drop those into the water first. Be fairly quick with it, then drop your weight in. We're running a sash weight, a window sash weight here. It's very heavy. It's got good streamline, so it'll go to the bottom quick. Careful you don't cut yourself. Once you've got your baits in the water, you need to push your surface button to set the surface level. Done that there. Then you need to push your line out button, and then you need to let the line descend. At the surface, you want to push the range bottom button. You'll see underneath it says surface. This will allow you to set your surface level so that the computer inside the electric reel knows where the surface is, so when it's retrieving it, it knows exactly where to retrieve it to before it stops. Then you want to disengage the gears here, this is the clutch lever, and push the line out button whilst holding on very firmly to the spool and let the line to run out. When the line gets to about 10 meters and a certain velocity, then what will happen is the engine or the motor will start to kick in and it will control the descent like it is right now. Once you get to the bottom, which we'll be doing in about 30 meters, I'm going to push the range bottom button. And that's going to tell us where the bottom is, so that next time we're out here and we want to drop, or on the next drop we want to do, the computer inside the electric motor knows exactly where to go. Here we go. It's now found the bottom. It's just going. You can see it's gone sort of slack here. I'm going to say that that's to the bottom now. I'm going to push that so it knows. 379, that's my bottom. I'm going to take a couple of turns here. When you get to the bottom with your baits and your weight, you want to make sure that you engage the clutch, engage the gears so that you can find a fish if a fish comes along. We're going to wind this line up now. You can do it 3 different ways. You can wind away, but that's not what this reel was built for. It is kind of nice to fight a fish the first couple of meters with the winding mechanism. Once you're ready though to bring the fish up or to bring your baits up and restart your drift, just engage this lever here, up slowly. You'll hear a bit of a noise. As you come up, the line will start to turn and you can push it up to a fairly fast maximum speed. If something grabs it on the way up or there's a bit of pressure on the line, the drag will do what it needs to and it'll slow down so that you don't bust the line. The other option, which is pretty nifty, come back like this, push the high speed button once. To stop it again, you just push that button again. There we go. Now when the spool is full of line, the maximum speed that this reel can wind line back onto the spool is at 180 meters a minute. Now that's pretty quick. In theory, it should take 2 minutes or so to wind this up. That's pretty quick in my books. In a couple of seconds, this is going to slow down. Just like that. It's going to wind up to 5 meters, and then it's going to come to a dead stop. Fantastic. 5 meters down, the reel has done exactly what it's supposed to, and that is stop all of the rig from winding up and coming through the guides. What you have to do from here, it's a little bit of hard work to get it all the way to the surface. We're using an 80-pound wind-on, and that is essentially our breakaway at the top of the rig. The reason you want to have a lighter breakaway at the top of the rig is so that if you get snagged up on the structure that you're fishing, you don't lose all your braid. So I'm just going to talk you through another feature of this fantastic reel. It's called the swimming range. Really what the swimming range is, your fishing range. It can be used for a variety of different purposes. When you're out here deep dropping with baits, well, the fishing range allows you to set that range where you reach the bottom, for instance. Or if you're jigging on structure where there might be yellowtail kingfish or amberjack or other species, maybe demersal species that like to eat jigs, then you can go through the process, drop your jig or your bait down to the bottom, and then as you start to retrieve it and a fish climbs on, you can push the button and set your swimming range, as it's called, or your fishing range. And then when you go to drop down again, the lure or the bait will stop just 5 meters before you reach your fishing range. And then you can fish through that water column section from the bottom all the way to the top. This is how we set the bottom range, or the swimming range. Push that button there. Now, 424.4 is the bottom of our swimming range. In order to remove it, we hold this down and it's set back to 0. If we then went into our jigging mode, if I want to come in here and I want to jig, I do that. And the jigging button will work as long as I have my button on there. So that's how I have my jigging. And let's say I was to get a hit by a fish just there, I hit that there, that's my swim range. Well, my anticipation is running a little high. We're hoping that there's a fish on, got about 20 meters off the bottom, and all of a sudden the line started slipping, the drag started pulling. About 200 meters up from the bottom, started pulling some more drag. It's not a huge amount of tail beats, but maybe, just maybe, we've got a good fish on. We've actually got a decent fish down here, one decent fish, not far to go. Here's the swivel, and there we go. We've got a beautiful harpooker here. Well, it's a fantastic fish. One of the species that we were after. We would have liked him much bigger, but isn't that the way fishermen always are? They're really tasty eating, deep water species, big mouths on them so they can eat fish in the darkness. Probably the first time this guy's seen light. When you're fishing in any scenario, you're apt to lose line. Whether you snag on the bottom, you hook a big fish and you bust off. When you lose line, when you're fishing with an electric reel, you need to reset the amount of line that's stored in the computer's memory. In order to do that, you wind all of the line back up until it's just here, then let it go back through the lever wind, and then you need to hold down the line out button for 3 seconds. It will then display a 0.00 on the LCD panel, then you're reset and you're ready to go. Just note that once you've reset or adjusted the amount of line that is stored in the computer's memory, you're going to go through and reset the surface level position and the gunnel position. One of the things you'll notice is there's a little bit of warmth on the side plate of this reel. It's got an electric motor in it. It's going to get warm. The great things about these reels is that they have, I guess, a gauge in there. If it overheats, the reel's going to stop to prevent any damage to the internals to the motor. What you're going to need to do is wait for 5 minutes, let it cool down, and then start winding the line in electronically again. If for some reason you lose power to the reel, maybe you trip on the cable or you bump the battery and the clips come off, the computer inside the electric reel will hold on and store that depth information for approximately 10 minutes. So as long as you get it connected fairly quickly, you'll be right to continue to fish with the same information that's stored on that reel. What you'll notice is that the gears and the buttons and everything are quite similar between the 1200 and the 700. On the side of the reel here, we've got the same setup. Got a tensioning knob just there. We have a clutch to disengage the gears here and put it into free spool. We have the star drag here, and just here we have the lever that will activate the electric reel and allow us to wind the line back up. On the top of the screen, we've got our LCD and a bunch of buttons, which I'll take you through in just a moment. Once your bait's in the water and you're ready to drop, push the Mode Pro button. This will tell the computer that your lures and your baits are at the surface, once like that. When you're ready to drop, disengage the gears using the clutch, throwing it back, and then push the set button over here, which is basically the line out. Once we get down, there we go. Once we get down to about 10 meters, the engine should kick in, and now it's going to control the drop all the way down. I'm not going to drop all the way to the bottom here, just to show you. Just go like that, put it like that, and then I can use the jig mode here by doing that. So if I don't want to wind, I can use that, or I can have a wind like so. And then when I'm ready to retrieve the line, I just need to push that up. And as you'll notice, the further I pull it, the faster it goes. It's got a very fast retrieve. As you can see, that line's zipping back on. Then it has a default setting to stop the line being wound up in. To wind the line the rest of the way, I can either manually wind it, or I can use the jigging, or in this case, the on-off button to wind the line in that last 5 or so meters. When it gets to 0, it'll actually stop again, and then I'll wind in the rest of the line by pushing down that button. The 700 PR model has the same functions as the 1200. Basically, all it's missing is the blue high-speed button. Apart from that, all you need to do is refer back to the instructions that we've been through with the 1200, and you'll be able to learn how to use this reel just as well as the 1200.
To learn more about the functions, features and how to fish with your WFT Electra reel, please watch the other videos in this 4-part series at wftreels.com.au.